Good morning, everyone. This is Lee McQueen, and I'm speaking of progressive news and media today and events. And I look in my email inbox and I discover that there's great news from Jill Stein of the Green Party. It looks like her efforts to flip states green is on track. Her and her people are doing a great job. And a reason for that is they're getting support from Bernie Sanders supporters. Bernie Sanders supporters have assisted, they volunteered with the Green Party to get Jill Stein on more ballots. And they've had success with Illinois. They met the threshold for the number of signatures, which is really high. They needed 25,000, and then they turned in actually over 50,000 just to make sure that they had enough ballot signatures, and they were successful. They are on the ballot in Illinois, so Illinois can vote for Jill Stein at the top of the green ticket and any other Greens down ballot, Illinois. And I think that's wonderful. And so Jill's thanking everyone who assisted. The work is going to continue. They're targeting Georgia. The filing date for the signatures is July 12th. And so they had help in Georgia when the court struck down the 54,000 signature requirement. And now they just need 75,000, which is more reasonable. But still, Jill is not playing it safe. Because they want 75,000, she's saying, well, what they're going to turn in is 15,000 just to make sure that they have sufficient ballot signatures. So she tries to double down on the signatures required for each state just to be on the safe side. And then it's going forward. They're also targeting Pennsylvania. And there's great news from Pennsylvania. The signature threshold for Pennsylvania was 22,000, but now the court has struck that down, the signature requirement, to 5,000. So it's going forward. The green machine is revving. It's going forward. It's revving into high gear, and Jill Stein is just driving it forward. And so because Pennsylvania requires 5,000, I'm sure she's going to attempt to get 10,000. And she's getting help from a lot of different people. In Pennsylvania, the filing date is August 1st. And so there's deadlines. There are people out there who said, well, let's just wait and see what happens after the convention, and then we'll think about moving over to the Green Party. And no, after the convention, it's too late. Even though we are Bernie Sanders supporters, there are still too many elements, unknown elements, on the path to his victory as the Democrat nominee. We have to see how this racketeering lawsuit is going to work out with the election fraud. We have to see what happens at the Clinton Foundation, and that has to go through the FBI and the Department of Justice. Now, the right thing might happen, and there's justice actually served from the Department of Justice, or, it might happen to fall out like the Clinton email probe, where there's admission of wrongdoing, but no admission of intent. So we don't know how it's going to play out. It could play out the right way, or it could not. We look at Jim Comey, we look at Loretta Lynch, and we have to see what they want to do. Then after that, we have to see what the superdelegates want to do. If they're convinced, like, maybe we shouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. So there's a lot of different things going on. And then we have to look at Bernie Sanders. Does he still want to be the Democrat nominee, or is he feeling that he's more powerful in the Senate, forcing legislation on the floor or keeping it off the floor? So there's so many different elements that we look at before certain things have to happen. And then while we're waiting, playing the waiting game, deadlines for the Green Party and Jill Stein to get on the ballot are coming up. They're coming up like this: July 12th, August 1st, and so on and so forth. We can't wait. We can't wait to see what a whole bunch of other people are going to do or feel like doing or, feel brave enough to do. Um, so, plan B. You always have a contingency plan. Jill Stein is a contingency plan. If you wait until after the Democrat Party convention, like, oh, it didn't work out, I guess we'll just go with Jill Stein. Um, ballot deadlines. They're like that. So pay attention, please, everyone. If you're even remotely interested in seeing a progressive in the White House, yes, we can still support Bernie Sanders. But we also have to keep in mind issues between Bernie Sanders and the White House. For one, Bernie Sanders is adhering to instructions and protocols and procedures of the Democrat Party. He's part of that Democrat Party. That's how he ran. So, he's on the inside. Jill Stein doesn't have to follow those rules. So she's got her own plan going. And that's plan B. So anyway, that's why I recommend, if you are even remotely interested in seeing a progressive in the White House, that you do have to pay attention to Jill Stein and what she's attempting to do to get the Greens on as many ballots as possible to increase her chances of coming up to 270 electoral votes. It's not disloyal. If your loyalty is to Bernie Sanders and only Bernie Sanders, then that's what it is. But if your loyalty is to a progressive cause and progressive issues, then it's better to look at the whole scene before you and plan for all contingencies. And there's also progressive down ballot that we need to pay attention to, and that includes unaffiliated progressives, Democrat progressives, independent progressives, Green progressives. It's not all or nothing. Progressives are where you find them, so it's necessary to pay attention. Not two Greens, but two progressives that are down ballot, and then also Bernie Sanders has mentioned them as well. Pramila Jayapal, she's in Washington State. She's going to be running for a seat in Washington State. Bernie Sanders is requiring us to pay attention to that race and not forget it, because early voting starts in Washington State in 2 weeks. And then Tulsi Gabbard, she's going to be on the ballot in Hawaii. That's 3 weeks. And then Tim Canova is on the ballot in Florida. So we also have to pay attention to progressives down ballot. You can find more progressives and their voting deadlines on the Berniecrats.net page. But I'm still going to continue on with Jill Stein. She created a interesting ad lately that's been released online, and it's titled "You Are Not Alone." And the alone is 2 different words, A and then LOAN. She's talking about student debt. She's saying that you are not alone, and she's explaining her plan to forgive and bail out the students and their student loan debt so they can be released to be productive and move forward in society. I'm going to post a link to the video if I find one in the description, but it's a good video, and her reading on the situation is entirely clear and it makes sense. Finally, Jill Stein has reported that, the Green Party has reported that there's been an uptick in interest in attending the Green Party convention down in Houston. The Green Party convention is at the University of Houston in Texas, and it starts on August 4th and runs through August 7th. And so there is housing available at the University of Houston. They've extended the deadline because, again, there's been so much interest, more than anticipated, that they've extended the deadline to register for housing to July 12th. So you can register for a place to sleep, and then also for meals if you register for the housing. And then you can also register for the actual convention itself for $135. All the way up until August 4th through 7th. So there's things happening with the Green Party. They've been just grinding, revving up that green machine, trying to make things happen. And if you are a current or former or still Sanders It's possible to assist Bernie Sanders to send more progressives into office at the down ballot at state and local races, and then to Washington into the legislative body. It's still possible to assist Bernie Sanders with his agendas to prevent the Trans-Pacific Partnership from ever reaching the floor for a vote in Congress, and then also to assist Bernie Sanders with normalizing the rest of the Democrat Party platform, and then also his efforts to prevent Monsanto from taking over our food industry and being shady with their laws and legislation, and basically buying their way into our legislative body, which Monsanto's been trying to do for about 16 years now. Bernie Sanders is drawing a line in the sand, and he could use some assistance. But besides the assistance with Bernie Sanders' agenda, there's also Jill Stein, who is looking to go all the way and not pull any punches, and to battle for the White House, battle for progressive issues, to get more Greens into office, more progressives into office, and to take money out of politics. So lots of stuff going on across the vast array of the political spectrum. We can't afford to really just focus on one issue or one person and let that suck all of our energy out. It's good to build and make sure that look for opportunities to help to build with the Green Party.